What do you think is going to be the biggest opportunity in real estate in 2025?
I think the biggest opportunity in real estate in 2025 is going to be the opportunity to reinvent yourself, your marketing, the way you do business for the next 5, 6 years of upheaval and change, which is sure to come.
Welcome back to Nevada Realtors Today, your place for timely updates on the news and trends that matter to realtors in the Silver State. Now let's join your Nevada Realtors President, Brandon Roberts, and Nevada Realtors CEO, Tiffany Banks, for today's episode of Nevada Realtors Today.
An industry veteran since 1996, Nobu is a student of real estate sales, marketing, communication trends, consumer trends, social media, and technology in the real estate industry, having adapted new school techniques into multiple successful real estate sales businesses. We're really thrilled to have you here and joining us today, Nobu. And we want to hear a little bit about your experience because you not only have been on the real estate brokerage side, but you've actually worked for many large organizations, organized real estate and beyond, and have shaped a lot of kind of the industry as we see and know it today. And so we're grateful to call you a friend in Nevada. I always say you're like one of my 3 calls that I make if I really want to know the truth about what's going on, what to expect, and any opportunities. So thank you so much for joining us today, Nobu.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Looking forward to this chat.
Thanks, Nobu. So tell us a little bit, because I think many people know you now as the Zillow guy, right? Or is that?
Absolutely. Not a lot of people do. You know, I'm trying to keep a low profile on that stuff to get work done. But I've had basically every facet of this industry covered. Sold real estate up and down the West Coast during my early years. At first as a non-realtor, and then I became a realtor, and then a realtor leader with the local state association and NAR. Got recruited by NAR to work at NAR for about almost a decade, which is where I met a lot of my Nevada realtor friends. So I was there for almost a decade. Ran a local association in Denver for 3 years, and yeah, I'm here at Zillow now for the last couple of years, kind of seeing things from a different perspective.
And it's your birthday today. Happy birthday, Nobu.
Thanks. I'm turning 26 again. It's really awkward. You know, Asians looking good.
You look fantastic. Do you have anything planned tonight?
Dinner, hang out, kind of gear up for the holidays. Being a December baby is weird because like people are like, "Oh, happy birthday," and then Merry Christmas, and then Happy New Year. So yeah, you get used to it,
I always felt bad for those kids that were born like right around Christmas. I'm like, oh, their parents just kind of lump everything in together. But I'm sure your loved ones make you feel special on your birthday and on the holidays.
Yep.
So Nobu, what do you think, as far as trends go, like especially in marketing, communications, and technology, which I know that you're on the forefront for, can you share some of the biggest shifts you've seen in these areas over the years?
Yeah, I think it's been slow and steady. With all this talk of change happening in the business, you'd be shocked to know that, or maybe not shocked to know how much consumers really are. They don't care, right? And I think that this industry is kind of a weird self-loathing industry. I've been in it long enough for folks to sit there and feel sorry for themselves and be scared of change. But I think so much of happening right now, trend-wise, is going in the right direction. I think that now is a great time to really think about how great your marketing is, or how not great your marketing is, what you should be doing different in this business. I think right now the biggest trend that I'm seeing is lack of inventory. Lack of quality inventory across the country is the biggest issue, while you also have inventory that needs a little bit of love, right? Or maybe it's priced a little out of whack that needs to be brought front and center again, right? So I think it's almost very old school real estate coming back front and center in a time when so much change is happening online, right? With the way consumers are viewing various brands with value and trust. And what realtors and realtor brokerages and what we all should be doing to kind of compensate for that change.
Where do you think consumers get most of their information?
I mean, you and I both, we all do it, right?
Yeah.
It's all Google. Google's a verb with most people. and
Okay.
it's an act. It's a brand. People see value in what they see when they type it in. It's also kind of an issue, kind of it's almost like a little bubble. But I think the biggest thing that's changed now over the last couple of years, especially, is how much of it is on mobile. Right? No one uses. I actually saw today
Yeah.
on the news about how few people are buying laptops and tablets now. Almost everything is now a mobile handheld device where life is being really lived on, right? To see not only real estate search happening on it, but you're seeing influencers happening on doing their marketing stuff on TikTok and on Snapchat and on Instagram. It's really cool to see. We all have to prepare for a very mobile centric universe going forward, and what it means to be a marketer in that context.
Mhm. Yeah, I see that. And I mean, I feel like I'll pick up my phone, even to fill out a form that I could do so much quicker on my laptop. But I'm like, my phone's just so convenient. And I can just, even though it's a little bit harder to see what I'm doing, I still would struggle through that just to not have to pull out my laptop at certain times. So I
Yeah.
get that and I see that.
Yeah, it's convenient. It's omnipresent. People look at their phones before they look at anything else nowadays, from the moment they wake up to the moment they go to sleep. So it's a wacky world, which I don't think is going to go back to the traditional ways anymore. I keep hearing people making fun of boomers, like big purchases need to happen on a desktop computer now, and just don't think that's going to happen anymore.
Well, Brandon, I'm always proud of you because you put your phone away. I've never seen someone that actually utilizes their phone so little as Brandon. And no, I think I actually admire that because you seem present. Because unless you're watching sports on your phone, you actually can go and put it away for long periods of time and not look at it. That's
Yeah, I
rare.
cheat. I cheat though because I can't really see my phone. I gotta have my glasses and stuff, and they only make the font so big. So sometimes it's easier for me to pull out a laptop.
Brandon, do you have a question?
I do. Nobu, you've been a strong advocate for embracing new marketing techniques, particularly on social media. What are some of the most effective strategies a real estate professional can use today to build their brand online, especially with all the noise? I mean, it just seems like social media is becoming more and more noise to me.
Yeah. I think the big key is to not try to jam a million messages down people's throats all at once. It's a very realtor thing to do, to try to be the salesy guy, right? And I think the hardest thing to do for realtors is to get out of the freaking way, right? And I think that's the biggest thing that they should be doing. Think long term, right? It is now a marathon, not a sprint, in order to be a marketer on social, really on any platform nowadays. And being memorable in a good way is the easiest way to do it. If people can learn, if people get these aha moments and you do it in a memorable way, no matter what platform you're in, you're going to be okay, right? And you got to remember, you only have a couple inch screen in order to make an impression on with people. And being authentic, being short and sweet, and being consistent with memorable marketing, no matter what it is a good thing. And what I would do if I was an agent now, just like I would have done 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, is you remove real estate out of the equation and show what value you bring to that. I remember seeing a really cool Instagram video the other day about with an agent showing the detail that she puts into her open houses, right? And it was going to every outlet and making sure with a screwdriver that all of these screws were facing the same way. Right. And it's little things like that. It was a 20-second video. I was like, here's what I do to prep. It was really cool and memorable. And she just tweaked these screws to go all be pointing the same way to show her attention to detail, which I thought was really cool. And you look at everything that she has done, it's consistent in that way. Very, very memorable, very aha, and very really cool. It gravitates people and she draws people in with really good marketing. And frankly, she goes viral, and
Sure.
go viral in a good way is the trick nowadays in order to be a consistent marketer online.
So is there, do you recommend you're on all social media platforms, or is there certain ones you should be on?
No, I think if you are thinking about where your marketing is going to be a year out, 3 years out, 5 years out, it really doesn't matter. I would start where your people are now. So if you're out there if you're out there trying to figure out where your marketing looks like next year, just do research or ask your clients, like, where do you go? Are you on Instagram? Are you on TikTok? Are you on Facebook still? Right? Start there, hone your marketing, be consistent with it, and then venture out where you need to, depending on where you think your clientele is going to come from in the future. Now, where things are going is the short, quick bursts of video information, a la Instagram, a la TikTok, and it's been pretty cool to watch that. But you don't want to be the old dude talking about the same stuff over and over, weirding 12-year-olds out on the TikToks out there right now. Start from where your people are now, and venture out where you think your marketing is going to be in a couple of years.
Very
Great.
cool.
So, I mean, I'm having more and more tough time staying on social media. I see that there's a lot of negativity being posted, especially about our industry. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, the consumers are looking at social media, and we're like communicating like it's our own internal platform.
Yeah, realtors market like realtors to other realtors. It drove me crazy when I was an agent, even more so, being outside looking in, going like, who are you talking to right now? Stop trying so hard to use the vernacular that we're using right now in order to make it relevant. Talk like a human being, talk like a consumer, right? The negativity stuff about our industry, I wouldn't sweat that so much, to be perfectly frank. We're in a time now, it's December 18th right now, where most agents are being thankful and grateful for the clients that they had in the last year. Put them on camera. Get Yelp reviews out there. Make sure you get your LinkedIn stuff happening right now. Now's the time to having the people that you made the most happy over this last year, rooting for you and fueling your business for next year. The negativity starts when realtors start to talk about how awesome they are. Like, we are the only business that I know that we trumpet ourselves while helping millions of people in a year transact on the biggest financial transaction of their lives. Get out of the way. Let these people talk for you, and start with the folks that you made the most happy this year. Get them on camera, have them share their feelings about you on their TikToks, on their Facebooks, and you're going to be okay. And you'll find that most of you all won't have to go and try so hard to go to places where you're uncomfortable if your clients are doing the talking for you. Now's the time, right? Think about gearing up next year's business with this year's clientele.
Well, and I think what you said when you were with us a couple weeks ago was focusing on even like marketing from the consumer's perspective. So not so much from a realtor telling another realtor why they do what they do, but actually seeing it through the eyes of the consumer, which is actually something that we've shifted to this year and getting our message out, because it's far different when you're hearing what the consumer is experiencing. At the end of the day, like most realtors that I've spoken with, they say that's the reason I do what I do, right? To like light that client up, to make sure that they're getting an opportunity to have their dream home, and to see it from the perspective of a consumer and how they see their realtor, because they are a partner in their life and in a transaction. An overwhelming majority, I think, every time they're polled, say that consumers are actually really happy with the realtor that they work with. And so we've been trying to shift some of our marketing to embrace like the consumer from that perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're an involved leader like Brandon, I know you are, right? Going out there and talking about how these legislative impacts improve the lives of consumers, how you help them save or make money. These are things that need to be broken down into very, very like base level, human level messages that matter to consumers out there. We just can't talk like realtors anymore. I'm a Colorado realtor now. I'm on the legislative committee for the Colorado Realtors, and I'm looking forward to helping humanize the messaging that's coming out. There's a lot going on right now that realtor associations are in a unique place to make an impact on, and then connecting that to human beings out there, man, it's huge, because we got to remember nowadays, like people are buying houses, especially in the last couple of years at 2-3% interest rates. You're not going to leave them for 10 years, right? So what you're going to engage with consumers on right now is one, how you're helping them and protecting their private property rights, right? And two, in a very human way. And two, giving them that exit strategy should they need to by humanizing things like mortgage rates, right? Filling that time, that 7 to 10 year time frame is going to be, I think, the biggest issue that agents and brokerages across the country will have an issue trying to do. They're just going to have to start doing it, I think, right now.
Yeah, I think the overall majority of consumers don't know what we do for them as far as advocacy, or if they don't pay more in property taxes, or if they're protected in some way. They don't know. They just assume it's happening. They don't know who actually does the work to make sure that all of those things are protected.
Yeah, we're in a weird time right now. If you go on an Amazon.com, or if you go on any of these apps that we're talking about and you purchase something, if you notice that there's always some little widget there that's looking like it's working, right? So when you do a Google search or you're on Kayak, there's that little thing that says, I'm working on this for you. Consumers need to know that we're working for them, that you're working for them, right? And we're in a time where immediate gratification. And we all know that most of the work that associations of realtors do are behind the scenes, right? And consumers want to be a part of that. Bring them in. Show that you're working by doing these things and marketing it better.
Yeah. Speaking of Amazon, living in the age of Amazon, where consumer expectations are shifting rapidly. You started to touch on what does this mean for real estate professionals today? How else should they be adapting to these changes? What could be other tactical takeaways for some of our members?
I think the biggest thing right now is that you need to remove real estate search out of the equation. That's no longer marketing. That really hasn't been marketing. It's not nothing. It's not even a Zillow conversation. This is I go to Google and I can and punch in any address in the country and it'll show up, right? So Google's the biggest real estate search engine ever. Let's remove that out of the equation. What is your value beyond that? Market that. The trick with real estate now is going to be getting people to see value in you that they see after the fact before they use you, right? It's not even these 100 things I do to help you transact on a home. You know what? 100 things that's not one message. That's 100 different messages over the course of a year. Right? And I think on top of that too, and this is one of the reasons why I got out of the business is, man, whenever something went sideways, who was always at fault? Right? It's always the agent. Embrace it and go and say, hey, here's what I do behind the scenes. Keep the contract together to keep your emotions under on check, to keep the stress levels down. We talked about it, right? The consumer expectations now is they want to be part of that sausage making. The sausage is something that we're trying to sell, right? It's the goal of buying and selling a home. I already want that. It's making them understand that the sausage making is where the money is truly made, and agents, most of them across the country, are worth what they're charging for, if not more. Our sets prove that almost 90% loved what their agents did or thought that they were even underpaid, which is great.
So you feel like they want to hear more of the details in the day-to-day than just get me to, you still have some consumers that are just get me from A to Z. However you get me there, I don't care. But what you're finding is the overwhelming majority want to be a part of the day-to-day transaction.
More than anything, what consumers want is a very customized experience to them. So if you're not asking a consumer, a buyer or a seller at the point of orientation, what their expectations are of the work that they're going to be undergoing with you, their agent, you're doing this business wrong, right? You need to be suiting yourself and customizing yourself to what these buyers and sellers want, but then also letting them know, no matter what, as soon as we get to that legally enforceable contract, we need to be talking on the phone. We need to be talking face to face. This isn't a willy-nilly thing that you can get out of. It's real money real people, right? We can't dumb this down anymore. We got to elevate it in ways that consumers are I think they aren't expecting, because for the longest time, as long as I've been in this business, we try to insulate and we try to dumb it down, and we can't do that anymore. So one, ask buyer or seller what their expectations are. And two, don't be afraid to set expectations at the moment the contract is set.
So we touched a little bit on your unique career, transitioning from your successful real estate sales to working with trade associations, and then now Zillow. What have been the key lessons you've learned at each stage of your career?
Oh man, I think the big one is lose the ego. This business is nothing without the 4 million transactions, 5 million transactions that get done every year, and the 10 million souls that we interact with that are the lifeblood of this industry. And real estate people, man, leave your ego at the door, right? Set your expectations with your clients. The more pro-consumer that people can get right now, the better, because it'll change the way they think about their marketing and their business processes and their procedures, right? This is a time when consumers are firmly in the driver's seat with everything else that they do, everything else. Now it's time to be shifting that in your sales career, right? This is not a hustle till you die thing. It's serve as many people as you can. And this is the only industry I know that the better you serve people, the more money you make. It's amazing, right? So, revel in that, because no matter where I've been from the actual sales side, interacting with buyers and sellers, to now, this end, seeing the true consumer perspective, years before they engage with an agent, is how valuable people are in a people transaction. Absolutely huge.
Yeah. Brandon?
So being sitting in all those seats, from CEO to working at NAR to being an agent, now over at Zillow, kind of on the consumer portal side, what's been your favorite position?
It's funny. What I love more than anything, real estate's like the mob. It's once you're in, it's really hard to get out. I tried for 6 months.
I was going to say, if you could do anything else, you need to think about what you would do. Any other industry.
I love this business because I can talk about one issue with real estate leaders, with agents on the street, with brokerage leaders, with association leaders like you guys, and folks who are just like, they just want to get stuff done. My favorite part about all this has been engaging with people who may have a question, or they need to be enlightened in some way. And that's been my favorite part. And having the honor, frankly, of being able to do it from multiple perspectives has been an amazing ride. And I wouldn't give up any of this. And I had the opportunity to get out of real estate once. And for about 6 months, it was awful. I realized how much I missed talking to people, about.
What did you do? What did you do for 6 months?
I got out to go work for cloud computing is actually, somebody else's laptop where you're putting stuff, was fairly new about 15 years ago, 20 years ago, something like that. I was just a kid. And I worked for a cloud computing company before, like Dropbox was a thing. So I sat there and try to figure out how to market somebody else's storage device. You use somebody else's laptop to people that didn't understand that, right? So it was weird. What the funny part about it was right at 2005, 2006, I think it was, when I'm sitting there and the guy next to me, who was a friend of mine, was getting really bad real estate advice from one of his friends, and I was like, "No, man, this is what it means to do X, Y, and Z." And he's like, "Well, why don't you be my realtor then?" And I went, "Okay." So I got my license and became a Minnesota realtor. And that's where that everything, all of this, like everything that's happened over the last couple of years really started. Crazy times.
Well, we're really happy that you're not going anywhere, because we need to continue to be enlightened. I love those conversations, actually. I always feel like I'm a better person when I leave a conversation with you. I might be more concerned over things, but I feel like I'm a better person. So, as someone who's been deeply involved in shaping the future of real estate, where do you see the industry heading in the next 5 to 10 years? And what do you think are some of the big changes on the horizon?
I actually don't think much will change. I think there's going to forever be scrutiny, and there's always been Department of Justice and litigious scrutiny of this industry. I don't think that's going to end anytime soon, especially considering settlements and stuff like that. So I think if you're a brokerage owner out there, I think you're going to be kind of constantly wary about things. If you don't do things like changing your marketing ways to be a lot more pro consumer, right? So I think if you're not doing that, I think you should be concerned. Or like some of the things that are happening right now, agents airing their feelings on social media out there, that's got to stop, man. It's like, oh geez, like we're doing nothing but shooting ourselves in the foot doing that. I think you look 5 years, 10 years from now, I think there's just going to be less agents, less realtors in general. When I got into this business, there were when realtors became a thing, I was in Anchorage, Alaska, and the brokerage I was with became a realtor brokerage. And this was the late 90s, a sophomore in high school or something like that. And there were about 700,000 realtors at that point. I mean, when you think about it, that's probably the numbers that we have now. No matter how many numbers in our reports or whatever, I think you're always going to have those people who are going to be disengaged, maybe not selling much, but you'll have 700,000, 800,000 core people, right? And that's not a bad thing. It's just that's what you're going to have. That's less competition out there. I think consumers in 5 to 10 years are going to be a lot more educated about real estate, because the internet now is getting a lot better thanks to not only better content, but I think artificial intelligence is going to change a lot of things over the next 5 years for sure, with the billions being spent on development in retail. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I think the new normals are going to be less real estate professionals on the street, but those people are going to be a lot better for it, right? Because they're going to be more hyper aware of the changes that are happening around, and because there's going to be less noise, Brandon, to your point, right? Less noise from the straight up online stuff to the offline stuff. There's going to be less issues and less people and less politics to cut through. Now, what you can't do between now and then is normalize, right? If you're a realtor leader out there, or Nevada or Vegas or whatever leader out there thinking about this stuff, you just can't normalize these attrition rates or changes that are happening year in and year out. You got to start tracking those changes as a leadership team going forward, whether you're in the association or the brokerage world, to start charting out what that 5 to 10 years looks like to you, right? Mm-hmm. We can't do willy-nilly, 2020 to 2024 sales anymore. Just those days are long gone. What does that new normal look like to you, with less agents, better tech, right? And consumers that are firmly in the driver's seat with what they can and can't do, right? So this is where I think you'll see a lot more business models come out. I think you'll see a lot more do-it-yourself type stuff. I think most of the business models that we saw that maybe went out of business because of how quickly the real estate industry was going, right, sales wise, I think they'll all make a comeback in much better ways, right? And I think you'll have to think about too, from the leadership perspective, who your members are. Mm-hmm. Maybe you bring in consumers, maybe you bring in your partners as full-on realtors. What a realtor means to a leader going forward needs to be re-envisioned, but I think now is the time to do it. So I think it's going to be a lot of change, but it's very slow change. But I think every 5-6 years, you'll see a leap forward. And I think that leap forward is going to be driven by artificial intelligence. Just from what I've seen now, companies that didn't exist 2-3 years ago are making headway in almost every business now. So real estate people need to really think about what that looks like for not only being more productive with less, but with technologies that, frankly, they didn't exist 6 months before they talked to you, right? So new normals are going to be re-envisioned every year, I think.
Do you still see the realtor being the center of the transaction, just having all these new techs to augment what services they're providing, or do you actually see a realtor being replaced?
No, I don't. No. This is a human business,
right?
And you can't tech out emotion and stress and all these things that people didn't realize were an issue, right? Coming in. And this is why I like marketing, the fact that every good agent that I knew when I was an agent, it was the issue then too. It's like we're psychologists and bartenders and therapists and everything that technology doesn't and can't do right now. So I think a really good agent in the next 5 to 10 years is going to be utilizing technology to make the process more efficient,
Right.
so they can do more with less, right? While having more time to deal with the stress and emotion of buyers and sellers out there that didn't realize how emotional and stressful the transaction was going to be.
Yeah, and I think, having their agent help walk them through all of those emotions and even for reassurance in many ways that they're doing the right thing. At the end of the day, it's their decision, but sometimes, you are that person guiding them on, we always say, like the largest financial purchase of your life.
Yeah. And what you can't do as an agent, really as any real estate professional, mortgage, title, insurance, anything, is how many times have you done this? Because every time somebody does it is their first time. Because they're going to do it every 5, 7 to 10 years. And they forget. I mean, I have forgotten. I am my own worst client when I'm out there buying home because I forget about it too, right? So marketing that is a huge deal right now, and getting people to understand that it's not just about brands and processes and techniques. It's how well you fit in humanity-wise with another human being during that emotional and stressful time.
Brandon, do you have any last questions for Nobu before we let him go enjoy his birthday?
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for taking your time to share information with us. And I got a lot out of this from setting expectations with your consumer to creating a better experience. I think that when you set those expectations, you create a better experience with the agents. And then something I took, and this was something that we heard way back when we had Tommy Choi on too, is storytelling. I think the messages that you're telling us to kind of put out there need to be told in a better story, in that kind of thing. But what is one piece of advice you've received over your career that has stuck with you and that you would pass on to the next generation of realtors?
Oh, it's funny. Yeah, I had a friend of mine's niece decided that she wanted to be a realtor. So he asked that exact question to his LinkedIn. It was fascinating. One, if you're a new agent out there, then now is a fantastic time to get in this business because all the bad habits are being really rejected and ejected, and I think it's a great time. I think the big thing, if I were a new agent right now coming in, or really any agent, because you're new in my mind until you're at least 80 to 90% referral based. Okay. And you should have a plan to be at least 60 to 70% referral based by year 2 or 3, no matter what the state the market is in, or no matter how many homes you sell in a given year, right? Plan for that. But then the big thing is find your tribe, right? Whether it's a brokerage and a mentorship community, in your community, your non-real estate community as well. Find the people that you can lean on and get information from and learn about what's happening in your community and in your industry. Find that tribe and stick with them, right? Because those are the people that are going to help you through, I think, what I think is going to be some really pivotal times in this business that's going to be happening over the course of the next couple of years. And make sure that tribe tells you what you need to know, not what you want to hear. Right? Ask critical questions of them. Make sure that you're getting out there and really taking criticism to heart and changing it. Right? Changing what you do, because change will be the only constant. And the people that are not associated in real estate, not associated with this kind of funnel way of thinking, are going to help you out with that. So make sure you have that diversified community, industry, business tribe that you can lean on and glean information from, engage with, and give back to in order for them to give you business, and you're going to be good. Just find them and you're going to be good.
Nobu, who would be your 3 people who've been on your bench, like rooting for you, supporting you from the beginning or in some course of your career?
Oh, man. I've had a lot. Like some of my favorite people are Ron Phipps. You know, he's a guy that I remember having a conversation with him the night he took on for real the NAR presidency, and it was heading into the worst economic period this country had been in 50 years. And to have him talk about what he wanted to do versus what he had to do for the industry was an incredible experience. And he has been, in my mind, in both our minds, he's been a mentor to me. People like you, Tiff, like you're my head girl, and you bring up questions to me that I didn't know to think about because you haven't had those kind of weird experiences in real estate just yet. Because you haven't,
I'm still so innocent.
But every leader that has made me think is on my bench, and I will continually go back to that person and ask good questions. And frankly, when people like you ask me a question, like the fact that we talk a lot is huge. You too, Brandon. I mean, it's leaders like you that get me out of bed every morning. And frankly, there's a couple people that I love to this day that we have never really gotten along. Right. There's always those folks who, especially coming over to the Zillow end of things, there's, the brand still causes a little bit of heartburn for people. But for those people who have said, hey, you know what? I get why you're going over there. This is why I don't like the company. This is why I do like the company. Can we talk about, can we get on the same page about some stuff? There's a lot of those people as well. I don't have, 3 people per se. I got these groups of folks who have been really instrumental in me succeeding in this business that I will cherish for forever. And frankly, I add to them every day. So it's been a wild ride, but I'm looking forward to the next 5 to 10 years with you guys and everyone else that has that helped me along the way. And I'm frankly happy that I can help them as well.
Thanks, Nobu. And we really, I take all those words to heart, and you really, really, really are what our industry needs. You know how much we think of you, as just a phenomenal leader, always to have that door open. You never say no if you can be of help in any way possible. And whether it's getting an answer and figuring it out or actually helping, like, carve a path for those that haven't gone down that path before and don't know what to expect. And so, if there's more people like you in this world, the world would be a better place. And so we're very, very, very grateful to have you in our tribe and as part of our team. So thank you.
Thank you guys for everything you all are doing. It's fighting the good fight in that state that's still growing. It's got having its growing pains right now, but man, we're going to come out on the other side better for it. So I'm looking forward to working with you guys and every other Nevada realtor out there that's listening to this over the course of the next couple of years. So thank you guys for having me.
And if someone wants to reach you, what's the best way to reach you?
Hit me up. I'm Nobu Hata everywhere. So
Okay.
there you go, branding, guys. It's awesome. So Nobu Hata everywhere and all the social platforms. NobuH at ZillowGroup.com. You want to hit me up there. And if you want my number, Tip's got it. So
okay. Happy birthday. Thanks, Brandon.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.